My name is Elena. I'm 34 now, a museum curator. This whole thing started 10 years ago, with a single piece of mail. It was a wedding invitation. Thick cream cardstock, fancy gold lettering. My sister, Livia, was marrying Rafael Montero. Rafael, the man I'd loved, the man I thought I'd marry. I remember staring at it. My hands, usually steady from handling old artifacts, started to shake. The smell of coffee in my small apartment suddenly seemed bitter. Livia and Rafael, their names linked together. It felt like a punch to the gut. A sick laugh escaped me. This wasn't just an invitation. It was a victory lap, right in my face. I could practically hear Livia's voice, that fake sweet tone she used when she wanted to twist the knife. Oh, Elena, you have to come. It would mean so much to us. Us. Like they were a team and I was… What? The opposition? I dropped onto my armchair, the invitation fluttering to the floor. Sunlight hit the gold letters, making them flash. They thought I was finished, broken. They thought I'd just disappear. In that moment, staring at their names, a cold anger started to build. They had no idea who they were dealing with. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Livia was always the star. Blonde, beautiful. Everyone loved her. Our parents thought she was perfect. I was the quiet one, the smart one, into books and history. They'd praise Livia for breathing. My achievements got a polite nod. I met Rafael in my last year of university. He was a guest lecturer, passionate about architectural history, just like me. We clicked. For 2 years, he was everything. We talked about a future together, travel, a home filled with books. I told him things I'd never told anyone, my insecurities, especially about Livia. He shared his dreams too. Then I introduced him to my family. Big mistake. Livia turned on the charm, full blast. I saw her eyes light up when she looked at him. Rafael, who was usually so sharp, seemed to lap up her attention. "Your sister's great, Elena," he said one day, a bit too enthusiastically. I felt a knot in my stomach but told myself I was just being jealous. The signs were there, if I'd wanted to see them. Livia suddenly fascinated by architecture. Rafael being busy more often, his excuses getting flimsier. Them sharing looks at family dinners. I ignored it all. Livia had a habit of taking what was mine. A favorite sweater borrowed and never returned. A school project she subtly took credit for. Little things, always deniable. If I complained, I was being dramatic. Our mother usually backed her up. "Livia wouldn't do that, dear." But Rafael was different. This wasn't a sweater. This was my life. The truth didn't come out in a big fight. It was worse. Rafael canceled dinner. Work emergency. I had a bad feeling. I drove by his place. Livia's car was parked outside. I saw their shadows in his window, laughing. I just drove away, numb. The next day, Rafael confessed. "It just happened, Elena. We didn't mean to hurt you." Bull. Livia was worse. When I confronted her, she was cold. "He chose me, Elena. We're a better match." Her eyes were triumphant. "You were always too serious for him anyway." That was it. Something inside me just broke. Or maybe it hardened. I saw them clearly. Selfish, cruel, and they didn't care who they hurt as long as they got what they wanted. They thought I was weak, that I'd just cry and accept it. That wedding invitation, years later, proved they still thought that. They expected me to be a good little victim, stay away, or maybe show up and look miserable. They had no clue about the person I'd become. The quiet ones see everything, and I'd been watching. I picked up the invitation again. My hand was steady this time. "Okay, Livia," I whispered. "I'll be there." But I wouldn't be playing their game. I'd be starting my own. The years between the betrayal and that invitation were tough. At first, the pain was constant. Friends tried to help, but mostly they just felt sorry for me, which I hated. My parents pushed for me to forgive and forget. "She's your sister, Elena." They just wanted everything to look normal. I cut Livia and Rafael out of my life completely. I kept my distance from my parents, too. I couldn't pretend. I buried myself in my work at the museum. I was good at uncovering old stories, forgotten artists. It became my focus. The wedding day came. It was a warm autumn day. I chose my dress carefully. A dark green silk. Elegant, but not flashy. I wasn't there to compete with Livia's inevitable white princess gown. Green was for strength. My hair was up, makeup simple. I was an observer. The church was ridiculous, over the top with flowers and fancy guests. Livia looked like a movie star. Raphael looked good, but when he saw me in a back pew, he looked uncomfortable for a second. Livia just gave me a smug little smile, like I was there to admire her. She probably figured I was still heartbroken. At the reception, I watched them. Livia loved the attention. Raphael played the happy groom, but he looked a bit stressed. They made speeches about their perfect love. It made me sick. Their perfect love was built on my pain. Over the next few years, Livia and Raphael became the it couple. Big house, fancy parties, the whole show. Livia became a lifestyle influencer on social media. Her page was full of perfect pictures. Them on vacation, her in designer clothes, fancy meals, always smiling, always honing blessed her soulmates. She never mentioned me. In her story, I didn't exist, and she made sure people thought I was just bitter and couldn't move on. Typical Livia. Control the story, make the victim look bad. But I had moved on. My career took off. I got promotions, curated major exhibitions. I traveled, met new people, and slowly rebuilt my life. The pain was still there, but it wasn't raw anymore. It was a scar, a reminder, and it made me stronger, clearer. The idea for my plan came during a trip to Florence. I was researching Artemisia Gentileschi, a painter from centuries ago. She'd been betrayed and shamed, but she used her art to fight back, to tell her truth. Standing in front of her powerful paintings, it hit me. I wasn't a painter, but I was a storyteller. I could curate my story, not as a sad victim tale, but as something bigger. My plan wasn't about screaming revenge. It was about truth. Livia and Raphael built their life on lies and my silence. I wouldn't attack them. I'd just show everyone the cracks in their foundation. My weapon wouldn't be angry words. It would be a book. I started writing a novel, fiction, but based on what I knew. The characters weren't exact copies, but the situation was familiar. The charming, manipulative sister, the quiet, overlooked one, the man who betrays one for the other. My main character, Anna, wasn't a victim. She was an observer who finds her strength. Her sister, Serafina, was all charm on the outside, but rotten underneath. The man, Julian, was charismatic but weak. I wrote whenever I could, early mornings, late nights. It felt good to get it all out, to turn the pain into something else. I researched narcissism, sibling rivalry, emotional abuse. It made the characters feel real. Serafina wasn't just evil. She was desperate for attention. Julian wasn't just a jerk. He was scared of being a nobody. The best part about fiction? I could deny it was about them. I wasn't accusing anyone. I was just telling a story that other people who'd been through similar things might understand. A story that Livia and Raphael would definitely understand. They had no idea. They were too busy showing off their perfect life. They thought I was irrelevant. They didn't know I was writing their story, in a way they couldn't control. It took 2 years to finish The Gilded Cage. My agent loved it. The publisher was thrilled. It was scheduled to come out in the spring, almost 10 years to the day since Livia and Raphael's wedding. Perfect timing. The launch party for The Gilded Cage was at a cool art gallery in Soho. The place was packed. Agents, critics, other writers, my real friends. I wore a simple black dress. I was nervous, but also strangely calm. This was it. My publisher said great things about the book. Honest, powerful. I gave a short speech, thanking everyone. I talked about the themes in the book: betrayal, resilience, truth, but kept it general. The trick was not to point any fingers directly. I didn't invite Livia or Raphael, but I knew they'd find out. Livia was obsessed with knowing everything, especially if it involved me. I figured she'd hear about it and just laugh. Elena wrote a book? How cute. The first reviews were amazing. Critics loved it. A stunning debut, one major newspaper said. Sales took off. It hit the bestseller lists. Then people started talking. People who knew our family. Old friends, distant relatives. They read the book. They saw the similarities. The popular sister who always got her way. The quieter sister who was always underestimated. The charming guy who chose the popular sister. The details were changed. Names, jobs, places, but the feeling, the pattern of what happened, was undeniable. This was the clever part. Readers who knew our history understood exactly what they were reading. Livia and Raphael were probably the last to get it. They were too wrapped up in themselves. My mother was the one who told Livia. Mom read the book, and I guess she went from being proud to horrified as she realized what it was really about. She called Livia, upset. "Livia, have you read Elena's book? People are saying things." Livia apparently just brushed it off at first. "Mom, it's fiction. Elena always had a wild imagination." But the doubt was there. She bought a copy. Curiosity, maybe. Or maybe she needed to see what I'd written. I can picture her reading it, the confusion turning to shock, then to fury, as she saw herself in Serafina, not as a simple villain, but as a deeply insecure woman who used her charm to manipulate everyone. And Raphael, seeing himself in Julian, the guy who threw away real love for status and an easier life. The book worked because it wasn't a direct attack. It didn't yell, it whispered. And those whispers were damning. Their perfect world started to shake. Their friends started looking at them differently. The admiring looks Livia lived for turned into curious stares. The party invitations dried up. People started leaving weird comments on her social media. "Serafina reminds me of someone I know." Or, "Wow, great book about how fake some people are." Livia finally exploded. She called me screaming, "How dare you, Elena? This book, it's a disgusting attack. You're trying to ruin my life, my marriage." I stayed calm. "Livia, it's a novel. If you recognize yourself in it, maybe that's something you need to think about. Don't blame me." "Fiction," she shrieked. "Everyone knows it's us. You twisted everything to make us look bad." "Did I?" I asked, my voice quiet. "Or did I just write a truth you've been hiding for 10 years? The book is about strength, Livia. Something you never thought I had." She made a choked sound and hung up. It wasn't a big dramatic showdown. Her anger just felt empty against my calm. She wanted a fight. She got quiet confidence instead. Raphael, I heard, was even more freaked out. He cared a lot about his reputation, especially at the university. The character of Julian made him look weak and unethical. His colleagues started giving him the side eye. Their perfect marriage suddenly looked like a total sham. My strategy worked because I hadn't lied. I hadn't slandered them. I turned my pain into art, and art tells its own story. They couldn't sue me. It was fiction. They couldn't publicly deny it without making themselves look even guiltier. Basically admitting the book was about them. They were stuck, trapped in the gilded cage I'd written about, and my words were the bars. The story was out. Not just my story, but their story, seen through a new lens. A lens they couldn't control anymore. The power had shifted, quietly, and it was all mine. After The Gilded Cage came out, Livia and Raphael's world didn't collapse overnight. It was more like a slow crumble. Their friends backed off. Livia's influencer career tanked. Who wants advice on living a perfect life from someone whose own life was now the subject of a best-selling novel about deceit? Her glossy Instagram posts looked pathetic. Raphael, from what I heard, became quiet and moody. The whispers at the university about his character flaws, hinted at in the novel, really got to him. His ambition seemed to shrivel. Friends said they were fighting a lot more, their perfect facade cracking under the pressure. The lie they'd built their marriage on was now out in the open for everyone to see. About a year after the book launch, I ran into Raphael at an art gallery opening. He looked older, stressed. The old confidence was gone. He came over to me looking nervous. "Elena," he said, "we need to talk." I nodded, and we moved to a quieter spot. "Your book," he started, not looking at me. It's done a lot of damage." "My book tells a story, Raphael," I said, keeping my voice even. "It's fiction about betrayal and consequences." He finally met my eyes. "But everyone thinks it's us, Elena. Livia she's a wreck. Our life isn't what it was." "And what was it, Raphael?" I asked. "Was it real? Or was it just a show built on hurting someone else?" He winced. "I messed up," he mumbled. "Badly. I was weak. Livia convinced me." He stopped. "You made choices, Raphael," I said. "Everyone does. And choices have results." He was silent for a long time. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, not as his pathetic ex, but as the woman I was now. "You're strong," he said, like he couldn't believe it. "I never saw that." "A lot of people didn't," I replied with a small smile. "That was their mistake, not mine." He nodded. "Is there anything I can do? To fix things?" I thought about it. Just try to live honestly, Raphael. That's all. He looked surprised, like he expected me to demand something. But I didn't need anything from him. My revenge was my freedom, my truth. Livia never spoke to me directly again, but I saw the changes. Her flashy social media went quiet. The forced smiles and photos looked sad. The big parties stopped. They sold their huge house and moved somewhere smaller, more private. It was like they just didn't have the energy to keep up the act anymore. The real win for me wasn't watching them suffer. It was what happened to me. The Gilded Cage opened up a new life. I got invited to speak at festivals, to teach writing. I started a second novel. The story of Livia and Raphael was an important part of my past, but it wasn't my whole life anymore. My relationship with my parents got better, slowly. It was different. They respected me now. They never said sorry outright for how they treated me before, but I could tell they understood things differently. My mom once held my hand after a book reading and said, "You found your voice, Elena. It's strong." That was enough. The biggest change was inside me. The anger, the feeling of being invisible and underestimated. It was gone. I took the worst experience of my life and made something good out of it. Something that helped other people. Something that was mine. I didn't try to destroy Livia and Raphael. I just tried to save myself. And in doing that, I showed them the truth about themselves. Years later, I'm happy. My work is good. My life is mine, built on honesty and self-respect. The revenge wasn't about hurting them. It was about the power of truth. It was about taking back my story. The best feeling isn't seeing your enemies fall. It's realizing they don't matter anymore. My dignity was always mine. I just had to reclaim it. And that, I discovered, is a story worth telling.